Hello everyone, Tactical H here, and once again welcome back to the battlefields of Omens of Destruction. Today we're playing as the Ogres once again versus Bretonnia played by Daft Plays. Now for the army build to deal with the Bretonnian cavalry, I'm stacking those speed reduction debuffs. You can see we have the Yetis here. Not only do they have the Frostbite minus 30% speed, but also their Aura of Frost minus another 15% speed, and also a really nice melee defense reduction as well, an AoE debuff to surrounding units. There are 3 whole Yetis in total, protecting some lab belchers there. They're supported by a Butcher of Beasts. More speed debuffs coming in the form of Curse of Onraya, not only reducing enemies' melee defenses, but also another 25% speed reduction. There's also other supporting spells, including Wizen's Wild Form and Flock of Doom. Other than that, one final speed reduction debuff here, the Piggyback Knights, providing a disorientated effect, reducing speed of a minus 30% and also further melee defense stats reduction if the unit is charging. Then there's also the Uncanny Coordination and regular ability of all Pigback Riders. So yeah, we are going in with some jousting action today with the Pigback Riders versus the Bretonnian Cavalry, which is in the form of Pegasus Knights on the far side. The rest of the Ogre units are a bunch of Nobblers in the front line there, providing some extra numbers acting as meat shields for the second line of Ogre Bulls. The Ogre army is led by an Ogre Paymaster, the DLC Ogre Lord, Glorious Gold for attack and weapon damage buff to his nearby units. And then there's the Cash Cascade, another plus 24 melee attack and plus 8 leadership, and also some additional charge bonus, which is quite nice as well. As for the Bretonnian forces of Daft Plays, a lot of mobility here, 3 units of Mounted Yeoman Archers plus 3 Pegasus Knights, not Grail Knights, so not a peak of Bretonnian Cavalry. Still going to be a very potent anti-lush unit. And further back, a ton of peasants, a front line of peasant mobs, backed up by some regular spearmen at arms. Further back, the relatively elite Polearms man-at-arms. Leading the army is Albrecht de Waterloo. He might have suffered a tragic fate in the Omens of Destruction DLC trailer, but he's still a very powerful melee combatant. Specialized in fighting large targets, equipping the Spirit of Tempest to counteract some of my speed debuffs. He seems to have his full toolkit with his Trident here, Wrath of Mandan for the AoE damage and more importantly Discourage effect, Heroic Killing Bow for added damage output, and Braid of Bordeloo for that extra leadership and more importantly bonus versus large, helping the Bretonnians trade better against the Ogres. There's also a few more single entities on the ground, Gotrek and a Damsel of Life with Earth, Blood, and Regrowth, plus a Grail Reliquary to help the peasants hold longer in combat. That's it for army builds, and now let the Nobbler versus Bretonnian jousting begin. We were playing on Conquest mode, so neither Dav nor I were in much of a rush to get close to each other. Basically, Dav is just gonna send over a Damsel of Life to capture the point while I cautiously move up my box of Ogres. At the same time, Dav is sending in his signature Skirmish Cavalry, poking at the Nobblers here with those bows and arrows, trying to chip away some damage from my units. Though, of course, Nobblers being a cheap chaff unit, I'm happy for them to take that loss, as long as it is not the Ogres getting shot. Lab Belchers firing back at the Mounted Yeoman Archers, significantly outranging those Skirmish Cavalry as well, inflicting some decent damage onto these Mounted Yeoman Archers, forcing them to back off and leaving some dead peasants and horses behind. Minimal losses on my end. Now let's go into fast forward here, skipping a bit of the marching phase. I am just slowly inching up my box here, keeping a very tight formation. Normally I like to box with Ogres, but things are different now that you actually have to charge with Ogres to charge up your army ability. But when I was playing this game, I was not aware of that change, so I was playing very conservatively, keeping a tight box formation. But in the future, Ogre players such as myself and anyone else will have to be aware of that and play a lot more aggressively with the Ogres constantly charging to recharge the army ability. Now, anyways, we are getting close to the capture point there, but the Damsel of Life is almost capturing the whole point now, so I'll just have to take it back from Dav and his Bretonnians, though my whole army is almost there. The Mounted Yeoman Archers chipping away the health of the Pigback Riders. They're not doing a whole lot of damage, and they're also a dirt cheap infantry. If they're facing the right direction, they even have missile block chance, so I'm not too worried about them. Better them than my more expensive Yeti and Ogres. In the skies, Albrecht taking some shots from the Lab Belchers, not doing a whole lot of damage. Ogre Bulls charging into the advancing peasants, inflicting some impact damage. But the chivalrous Albrecht is here protecting his peasants, diving onto those Ogre Bulls, forcing them to pull back, inflicting substantial damage. Not exactly a good trade for me, as the Ogre Bulls only did minimal damage to the peasant mobs. Lab Belchers safely sitting at the back with the Pigback Riders screening off those Mounted Yeoman Archers, unloading into those Skirmish Cavalry. doing even more damage to them, while the Nobblers are moving up to the capture point now, trying to take back those victory tickets from the Bretonnians, so peasants are moving up to push back the Nobblers. Of course, just the Nobblers alone won't be holding for long against so many peasants, so their Ogre Bulls are coming in, once again charging into melee combat, charging into the peasants, recharging a bit of my army ability and also providing some monstrous support, though in this battle I have less regular Nobblers than Ogre Bulls, so these Ogre Bulls don't have infantry support. They still barreled into melee combat, but against so many anti-large combatants, including spears, polearms, and even Gotrek himself, it's only a matter of time before they buckle. Yetis slamming into Outbreak the Borderloo here, slowing him down with the Frostbite, and on top of that, the Ogre Paymaster is coming in with a bunch of nice buffs, including the Gold Glorious Gold passive, adding extra attack and weapon damage, and then the defense debuff from the Yetis, though Outbreak himself is counterpunching with the heroic killing blow, and at the same time, Cash Cascade, plus 24 attack, plus 8 leadership, and plus 25% charge bonus, helping those Yetis to turn this fight in their favor there. The peasants are already breaking, while on the other side, their Pegasus Knights still hanging around in the sky, not actually picking a fight just yet. They could try charging the Lead Belchers, who are unloading armor-piercing shots onto them, but they're also quite wary about the Yetis hanging around nearby defending those Ogre artillery. And the skirmishers are still getting screened. Back to the front line, some peasants are breaking, but so are my isolated Ogre Bulls. I'm throwing in some pigback riders just to stem the tide of a ton of these peasants, dropping in a Flock of Doom as well, draining their health away. Outbreak taking a bunch of damage from the Yeti charge, and also the Ogre Paymaster doing some nice armor-piercing damage as well. Pigback riders though got hit by the Trident of Outbreak, taking some damage in the process. I feel like the Mounted Yeoman Archers are playing a little too passive here. They probably could try to run around the pigback riders and drag those Lead Belchers into melee. Lead Belchers continues to fire at the Pegasus Knights. The Pegasus Knights really paying a heavy price for being undecisive. Now they're coming in for a charge, trying to hit up some of these Lead Belchers. With the Bretonnia Knights landing, it's time for jousting. The Pigback Riders should be able to charge in now and start pinning down those Pegasus Knights. Speaking of pinning down, these Pegasus Knights here getting slowed down significantly by the aura of the Yetis, and on top of that the Frostbite attacks being stuck in this melee fight, and on top of that Curse of On Air, reducing their melee defense, melee attack, and more importantly the speed, slowing down them to 32 speed, so they're pretty much moving as fast as your typical infantry. Now, some of them are able to get back into the skies. No, they're still being stuck in this fight here, though they are doing a whole lot of damage to Yetis since they did targeted charge on the Yetis here. But the Pigback Riders are saturating in, beating back one of the Pegasus Knights, already the one being shot to half health, and are now piling into another Pegasus Knight, using their anti-large to drag down another elite cavalry. While in the front line there, the sheer number of peasants managed to beat back my Nobblers and Ogre Bulls, so I'm just concentrating my forces here, trying to win my backline so that the Lead Belchers can firing once again. Pigback Riders and the Piggyback Knights charging straight in, pinning down the Mounted Yeoman Archers with a little bit of a disorientated effect, showing those peasants what a true Nobbler Knight can do. Spearmen at Arms and Men at Arms are saturating in, trying to reinforce this block fight and help out Gotrek and the Grail Reliquary, while Outbreak, freed up from fighting in the front lines, now going after my Lead Belchers. I need to send something forward to deal with this Lord on a Hippogriff. Like these Yetis here, they're moving in just kind of blocked by their own retreating Lead Belchers. Another Flock of Doom to drain away the health of the peasant infantry, reducing those Bretonnian infantry support. Honestly, sending the Butcher against Outbreak is probably a horrible idea here, especially when peasant polearms are closing in. Yetis are here to help though, with the Cash Cascade once again juicing up their melee attack by plus 24. There's also more going on in this blob here, as we do have a Curse of On Air on Outbreak and the rest of the Bretonnian troops dropping their melee attack and defense. If we slow down a bit, we can check the stats of the Bretonnian troops, like the Men-at-Arms, down to 3 attack and 8 melee defense. Their melee performance right now will be absolutely horrendous. Even Outbreak right now, down to 3 melee defense only, thanks to all the melee defense debuffs, including the Aura of Frost from the Yetis and the Curse of On Air. Actually, this gives me a new idea for an army build. Anyways, let's put the focus back into the battle at hand and go back to normal speed. Pegasus Knights coming in. They have taken quite some casualties, being bogged down by Yetis and Pigback Riders, now going after the Lead Belchers, who are isolated from support. The Yetis, still having most of the models intact, have got some significant healing from the Meat Feast army ability. More Yetis, these ones regrouped from routing, are joining the fight. They are surrounded by peasants though, and also a Pegasus Knight charging them from the back. With the additional armor from the Wizen's Wild Form earlier, they were able to tank some charge damage from the Pegasus Knight and do a little bit more damage with the weapon strength increase, though the Pegasus Knight still managed to break them off. But I still have quite a few Yetis on the field, plus Lead Belchers still being very much healthy. Another Flock of Doom onto my opponent's units here, draining away the health of these tattered Pegasus Knights. These Pegasus Knights managed to wreck my second unit of Lead Bouchers, who have earned back quite a bit of value already. The Piggyback Knights are trying to go after the Pegasus Knights for a jousting challenge. I don't think they actually get any good engagements so far, mostly just screening off Mounted Yeoman Archers and whatnot. Let's see how much they actually did in battle. 173 damage value, so yeah, they haven't seen a lot of action other than just taking a bunch of damage. Yetis did a great job pushing back those Mounted Yeoman Archers and finishing off the live Damsel. The Pegasus Knights will dive in and try to avenge for their fallen Damsel, but here comes the Piggyback Knights regiment of renowned Pigback Riders. Remember, they can apply disorientated effect on the charge, so minus 30% speed and minus 4 melee defense and minus 6 melee attack on the Pegasus Knights. Now the Pegasus Knights are trapped, their speed down to 35 only thanks to the Frostbite, the Aura of Frost from the Yetis, and also the disorientated effect. And then on top of that, the melee defense debuffs and a Flock of Doom from the Butcher of Beast. These Piggyback Knights are definitely winning this jousting challenge against the Pegasus Knights, showing the Bretonnians anyone can become a mighty knight if they try hard enough. They don't need shiny armor, they don't need metal forged swords and lances, they don't even need a horse. All you need is a friend who is willing to carry you into battle, so yeah, power of friendship it is. The Pegasus Knights are driven back by the Pigback Riders and more Yetis and Ogres saturating and pinning down Oberich. On the far side, their Lead Bouchers will try to retreat away from the pursuing Man-at-Arms pole arms. The Mounted Yeoman Archers are now trying to charge in and save their liege lord, trying to screen off those Ogre Bulls and Nobblers, but that's easier said than done here, as the Piggyback Knights are still in the vicinity, getting 500 damage so far fighting those Pegasus Knights, already earning back their worth. Considering they only cost 500 gold, now they're going after Outbreak their Borderloo, once again applying a disorientated effect onto this very expensive lord. No Curse of Aura needed just yet, and Outbreak is already down to 21 melee defense. With all the Yetis and Piggyback Knights surrounding Outbreak, Outbreak is getting slapped hard and he's going down fast. There's just too much anti-large or armor piercing around him right now. The Piggyback Knights even getting a cash cascade from the Ogre Paymaster. Up to 68 melee attack, my god. Yeah, Albrecht is not getting out of here alive, and that is going to be army losses, leaving only Gotrek in the fight being unbreakable. Though he is surrounded by a swarm of enemy infantry and Ogre Bulls beating him up, so he's not gonna hold on forever either. That's gonna be an Ogre victory, or more precisely, a nobler Pigback Rider victory jousting against the Bretonnian Knights. GG to Duff, and let's have a look at the army performances here. The Pigback Riders, especially this one, I think this is the one that countercharged the Pegasus Knight, and these ones managed to get some really solid value in the late game surrounding and beating up Outbreak the Borderloo. The other two also earned back their value and then some more. The rest of the army here, the Ogre Bulls didn't do a whole lot, but the Lead Bouchers definitely did some pretty good work here, shooting at those Mounted Yeoman Archers and also whittling down the health of some of the Pegasus Knights, softening them up and helping those Pigback Riders to push the Bretonnian cavalry back. Yetis did a great job not only fighting back those enemy armored targets, but also dropping those speed and melee defense debuffs there, controlling the movement of the Pegasus Knights, slowing them down, pinning them down, allowing those Pigback Riders to catch up and drag those shiny Pegasus Knights into the mud. The regular Nobblers didn't do a whole lot, while for the single entities here, the Butcher got some pretty nice Flock of Dooms, but got slain in the end, and the Ogre Paymaster didn't do a whole lot either, just mostly dropping those buffs to help the Pigback Riders and Yetis in melee combat. As for the Bretonnians here, Outbreak the Borderloo getting some really good trade into the large targets of the Ogre Kingdoms, all those Yetis and Ogre Bulls. However, the Peasants didn't do a whole lot in the fight here, just not trading well into the Nobblers, while the Pegasus Knights, some of them got some really good value, slamming my Lead Belchers and some of the Yetis as well, but overall, just not trading great when they're surrounded by anti-large spears, who also have a pretty nice charge bonus as far as Nobbler goes, at 30 every unit. As for the Mounted Yeoman Archers, they definitely could have been used more aggressively in the early game there, trying to throw them into the Lead Belchers and maybe disrupt my Lead Belchers shooting. Gotrek, unfortunately, mostly fighting Ogre Bulls and the Nobbler infantry, so not getting a whole lot of value either. And yeah, that's it for today's battle. I hope you all enjoy the Nobbler Pigback Riders jousting. And if you want to see more Total Warhammer Omens of Destruction content, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. TacticalItch signing out.